Well, we're talking with Scot Faulkner, Executive Director for the Dreyfuss Initiative, and we'll be back in a moment with more with Scot Faulkner and maybe get in a little bit about the debacle in D.C.
Rick Amato, live on Intelligent Talk 1170 KCBQ. Call Rick at 1-888-344-1170. Rick Amato.
This is T.J. O'Hara, the Common Sense Czar, filling in for Rick Amato while he's taken just a few days to himself. And I am joined tonight by Scot Faulkner of the Dreyfuss Initiative, the Executive Director of that tremendous charitable organization and initiative that Richard Dreyfuss has put together, as well as in studio, Lori Edwards-Tate of At Your Home Family Care, and also the writer for Life Cycles. So, Scott, we were talking about what people can do, and certainly they can get additional hints by going to the DreyfussInitiative.org, the website. And as we mentioned, it is being updated, over the next several weeks, but don't hesitate going there. Now, how about funding? I know you're a nonprofit.
Right.
What can we do to help along those lines?
Well, we have a lot of people already helping us, but we definitely need additional funding. We have grants, we have donors, but as we move to the next level of detail on our programs, developing the curriculum materials costs money because we're hiring teachers to actually help develop it. We're retaining experts in early childhood development and curriculum development. We have just acquired, or in the process of actually just acquiring, one of the Washington family homes out here in West Virginia to be our headquarters for our think tank, the George Washington Institute on the Enlightenment. And we're starting to endow chairs for scholars to look into the founding principles and founding context of our nation. And so money is a key commodity right now.
Well, I hope everybody listening in, if you care about the country and you think it's important that our children grow up with an appreciation for the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution and the Bill of Rights and the foundation of this country, then let's reach out and try and help the Dreyfuss Initiative and get civics restored to its proper place. We've replaced it with so many politically correct programs in our curriculum. It's almost an embarrassment that when you talk to students today, and even people of voting age, they no longer seem to have an appreciation or an understanding for the basis of this great country. And I think it's the least we can do is try and help with this type of a movement. Now, I think we have the caller back online. Is the caller ready to join us?
I'm ready.
And your question, sir?
Well, I'd like to explain something. This is Richard Dreyfuss, and I'd like to explain something about the initiative. Scot Faulkner and I come from opposite ends of the political spectrum. He's a conservative Republican, and I began my life as left of the left and have moved slowly to the center over the past 50 years. And just the fact that we share a critical understanding that we no longer have a shared sense of values and that we are seemingly at war with one another, just the fact that Scott and I are within the same endeavor is a miracle of today's politics, because today's politics are toxic partisanship, thoughtless, and without substance.
Yeah, I would have
neither Democrats or Republicans out in the country who really understand what this budget screech is all about, except that Republicans feel one way and Democrats feel another, and they don't know really what anyone is arguing about. And we have reduced the content of information that people need in order to run the country to the barest of minimums.
Yeah, Richard, I want to thank you, first of all, for calling in tonight and listening, but you bring up a great point. I was struck last night by the speeches from the two sides, basically, the president representing the Democratic side and Speaker Boehner representing the Republican side. And the president made a specific comment when he talked about, I don't want to get into the details. I don't want to bore you with the details. We aren't necessarily bored with the details, but it's not politically expedient for either side to provide us with the details. And I think you bring up a great point. How can we have civil discourse without being able to speak without shouting, without being able to speak without a pre-committed position? One of the greatest problems in communication is that people are preparing their response rather than listening.
Absolutely.
One of the things that Scott knows and I know is that we no longer think of ourselves as people who share political space with those with whom we disagree. We either think that we are meant to demonize anyone who disagrees with us, or we're meant to persuade them to our point of view, and if we fail, we should kick them off the platform.
Now, when you,
and the fact is,
Richard,
the
I want to be
miracle of America.
Richard, I want to be clear with.
We created a form of government.
I want to be clear.
That allowed people of different points of view to share that space.
Richard, I want to be clear with the audience when you say we either demonize them or you're talking in the societal sense, not you and Scott.
That's right. I'm saying that Scott and I are the holdouts. Right.
Because
we didn't get the memo.
Yeah, I've worked with both of you long enough to know that that's the antithesis of you two. You two will listen to any idea and vet it on its factual basis, and sometimes it will shift maybe what your pre-committed idea might be, or it may not, or it may even enhance where you were before. But you're always open to the discussion, and that's what's so joyous about having a conversation with you. So I just don't want anybody in the audience, sometimes they listen past what's being said, and I don't want them to get the impression you were suggesting that you and Scott put people in these small little boxes and then dismiss them if they don't agree with you. It's the exact opposite, and that's what you're trying to teach through the Dreyfuss Initiative.
And not only do I thank you for that, but anytime you think that what I'm saying needs clarification, don't hesitate. If you were on an airplane and you heard an announcement that we were going to pick our pilot from business class today, you'd get off that plane. And if you went to a doctor's office and found out that doctor had not gone to medical school, you wouldn't let him touch you. And yet, knowing how difficult and complex those professions are, we treat the profession of citizenship with the back of our hand. We dismiss it. We don't train to it. And the governor of Maryland literally 2 months ago reached into the curriculum of his state and removed civics and the money behind teaching civics. And civics classes are, in fact, the only place that young people have to learn how to run the country before it's their turn to run the country. And so the removal of civics is either evidence of a neurosis beyond my ability to articulate, or some kind of crazy conspiracy. I don't believe in conspiracies. I believe, though, that people can get so caught up in the win over the principle, in the victory at the electoral polls over the correct principles that we should be using, that we don't pay any attention anymore to exactly what it is that we're voting for or against, as in this budget situation.
Absolutely.